You have finally decided to make the move to switch brokerages to take your business to the next level. Today, we're going to talk about the big mistakes that real estate agents make when making the move, because we want to make sure your move is smooth, that it's exciting, and that it's the most successful move as possible. My name is AJ Ackerman.
I'm Mark Ammons.
And we are Elevated Agents. Welcome, guys. I'm super excited today. Our last video, we talked about you deciding whether it's time to make a move or not. And today we're going to talk about you've decided. And I'm so excited because so many agents are outgrowing their business, right? Whether you've decided that you want a better commission split, or you want to grow a team, or you want more mentor and coaching, whatever that is, you've decided. So first and foremost, congratulations, because it's a very scary thing to do to make the move. But a lot of times it's necessary because there's a lot of amazing real estate companies out there right now that are offering a lot of value that will help you take your business to the next level. Whether you're brand new or you're an experienced team owner or you're a broker, I'm super excited today because I want to make sure that you guys have the steps and that you understand some of the very clear things to do so that you make this move as smooth as possible. Because one of the things we talked about in the last video is that when you make the move, this will disrupt your business a little bit. So you may have to take a couple steps backwards, but in order to take 10 steps forward, these are the things that you can do right away. So today we're going to keep it really simple and help you understand. Now, before you actually make the move, you want to make sure that you read your ICA. Now, if you have no contracts right now, if you have no relationships going on, listen, just make the move, right? There's not a lot that you need to do except for just get excited about the new opportunity and plug in. But if you've got contracts, if you've got listings, if you've got a large CRM that the company has in their name, it's really important you read the ICA because you need to know what you've signed. You need to know what your rights are, and you need to know how they handle this situation. Every brokerage is different. There are some brokers that are like, hey, yeah, sure, go ahead, take the listing. It's yours anyways. Hey, yeah, sure, go ahead, take your contacts. But not all brokerages are the same. Whether you have a good relationship or not, know what your ICAs is and make sure you understand what they've done in the past, right? If you know that there's other agents that have left the company before, go ask them, hey, what was your experience like? What should I expect? Now, before you leave and before you start talking to other people, I highly suggest that if you have all of your contacts in a CRM that the company owns, make sure that you export those out. Make sure that you have a CSV file. It's very easy to do. There's instructions online, but we want to start preparing for the move. We want to start making sure that you have everything that you need that the brokerage controls, because what I would hate to see you do, and I have heard this happen, is that as soon as you make the move, they shut you down. They turn you off from everything and you don't have access. And then it becomes extremely difficult to get that information back to you. So make sure that you prepare to get all of your information onto your place so that you can then transfer it into the new systems with the new company. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think the biggest key is understanding that you need to be proactive and not reactive. And we were doing this video from a place of having been fortunate enough to partner with a lot of agents who have made a brokerage switch. And we've partnered with a number of agents who are newly licensed. This is the first brokerage they've ever been a part of, but we see a lot of brokerage changes just by the nature of what we do. And what we have found, the most successful agents who are able to make sure they're not really taking a big step back in their business when they change is they're prepared, right? It's the 5 Ps. Prior proper planning prevents poor performance. Or 6 Ps. I don't know. How many is that?
Piss
Count
poor
them out.
performance? Yeah, I like that.
So you got to be prepared, and that comes from being proactive and not reactive. And so what we see as a downfall of a lot of agents is it's like they get excited about this new brokerage, which is amazing. Whatever brokerage that is that you find that you connect with, awesome, make the move. But understand there's things you have to do beforehand to make sure that that move is as successful as possible. And unfortunately, we've heard a lot of scenarios of someone that's like, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and switch my license over. Then they realize it's like, oh, well, I realized that like I needed prior permission in order to like take that listing with me. Or like AJ said, like they shut down my CRM, the next day, and now I don't have access to all that stuff. And so unfortunately, those are things that a lot of agents, mistakes that they make, but they're all avoidable. And that's the really great thing is it's simply a matter of like having not thought about them. There's a number of things that go into behind the scenes switching brokerages that a number of people just don't think about. And our goal today is to make you aware of these things, to at least start thinking like, okay, when I make this change, what kind of stuff does my previous brokerage have that I need to take with me, that I need to get taken care of before I make that move, so that you're not caught flat-footed and caught off guard. And because what ends up happening is you get really excited about the change, you don't prepare for the change, then you make the change, and then unfortunately there's a lot of negative side effects, and now it kind of takes the wind out of your sails. And a lot of that excitement that you had about joining this new brokerage now turns into disappointment. There's this slight feeling of regret because you didn't do the right things beforehand to make it successful. And inevitably, as humans, we like to blame other people, blame circumstances, blame the new brokerage for being the reason that it's not a smooth transition. You can transition smoothly from one brokerage to a next, any brokerage, as long as you do the steps that AJ is talking about and that I'm talking about today, of just preparing and understanding that there's more that goes into it than just like, I'm gonna make this switch and just hope and pray that everything turns out right, because it's likely not going to.
Right. Well, and we are assuming that you've already chose a brokerage, right? Because that's a whole nother video for a whole nother day. So this is all about, you've already chosen the brokerage, you're excited about it, but I want to bring something to your attention, because if you've done any real estate at all, you've heard of buyer's remorse, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, buyer's remorse works for you too when you're switching brokerages. I can't tell you how many people we've talked to that get excited, they start doing it, and then they start getting remorse. And they're only getting remorse because they're realizing that the things that they have to do in order to move, or they start thinking about the conversations they may need to have with the people they care about, right? Sometimes we leave brokerages not because we dislike the broker or because they did anything wrong. We just see a better opportunity. That was one of the reasons I switched. Actually, I've never switched brokerages because of fear. I always switched because it was a better opportunity. And so when you keep looking at the opportunity, you want to keep excited about it, but don't beware of buyer's remorse. You've seen this happen with your own buyers in real estate. So what do I mean by that? Well, I can think of actually a couple people off the top of my mind that they got excited, they started the process, they started figuring out how it's going to work, and then they're like, okay, how do I let my broker know? Right? So here's the thing. My personal suggestion is always to have a face-to-face conversation if you have any sort of good relationship with them, if you want to keep the relationship, because God forbid, listen, sometimes things don't work out and you want to go back to the brokerage. You want to make sure that you keep your reputation, that you do things in a positive way. And remember that a good broker is going to ask you this question: what's it going to take to keep you, right? A good broker is going to fight for you once you sit down in front of them. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's a good thing. The question becomes, are you going to accept their counteroffer or not? Now, I'm here to tell you, it doesn't hurt to look at their counteroffer. Maybe they do offer you something that's fantastic, that's great, that actually they answer and solve the problem that you had. But most likely, they're only fighting for you because they're only thinking of one thing, themselves, not you. They should have been fighting for you from the beginning. But I want to make sure you understand, like sending a text and saying, hey, I'm out, see you later, that's probably not the best way to handle it, or to just disappear. We want to make sure that we're creating positive relationships with this, because you're going to probably do business with somebody in that brokerage in the future. So part of this process is you've chosen the brokerage already. Know what's going to happen when you leave the brokerage. Do as much research as possible, and then make sure you have that conversation with your broker. But don't have the conversation with your broker until you've already gotten all of the materials and all the things that you need, because you never know what a broker's really going to do. I've heard some real horror stories before. I've never had any of those major issues, but I've heard some of those things. So first step, choose which brokerage. Second step, make sure you know what your rights are, your ICA. Make sure you have all the information you need, and then have the conversation with the broker, and then get excited, right? Listen, the fear of you having that conversation with a broker, it's not about them, it's about you. It's about you growing your business. It's about you being appreciative, right? Be thankful for the experience that you have. Be thankful for what you've learned, what to do, and maybe learn what not to do. And then be excited about moving on, because now that's when the real rubber meets the road, right? When you make that final move and that final switch, when you finally sign that ICA and you say, I'm ready to switch, right? That's when everything gets started. That's when you start taking the next steps, is that you need to make sure that you go through your checklist now, right? What is that checklist of making the move? Well, there's a lot that's going to go into it. I'm going to name a few right now. First and foremost, your voicemail. Right? It's so funny when you call somebody, they've been with the company 6 months, and you call and they still have their voicemail set up. Yes, people do still call, and the majority of people don't answer anymore. So your voicemail is important. What's your email signature look like? What's your social media? You want to start going through and changing that email signature and then attaching to everything. Check everything you can that you go through. Like, are you on realtor.com? Are you on Zillow.com? I mean, every single lead gen source that you can think of, you want to switch that branding over and take advantage of all the new tools at the new company. Most likely the reason that you moved is because you didn't have as many tools or services or marketing help. Make sure that you're plugging into the new company and going through their checklist, right? What are the things that they offer that you got excited about that you can now start implementing in your business and get all of those leads into the new CRM. If you already have your own CRM, you don't have to worry about that. But the majority of agents don't either have one, don't use one, or they need help putting it in there. So start learning those new programs and those new systems. It's a huge part of transitioning to the new company.
I don't have a whole lot else to add. That really is it, guys. Like, you take this in a couple steps. There's the pre-move, right? What do you need to do before you have that conversation with your broker? Then there's having the conversation with your broker if that's necessary, right? If you're at let's say you're at a cloud-based brokerage right now and you barely even know the name of the state broker, don't worry about it. Just change brokerages. You don't need to have that conversation. Like, do this. Everything that we're saying, we're assuming that you're applying your own knowledge and common sense to, right? So like, just use common sense on all this stuff, guys. Like, that's the biggest thing we can tell you is just use common sense. Prepare. Like, think ahead a couple of steps in the process to make sure that you're not caught off guard. Because again, that's going to take the wind out of your sails and take away some of that excitement that you had that got you really, intrigued about moving in the first place. And then, like AJ said, the devil's in the details. After you make that switch, what we don't realize as real estate agents is just how prominent. If you're just Joe Blow real estate agent who doesn't do that much business, your face and picture and name is still all over the internet just by the very nature of what we do. And so, going through and kind of scrubbing through that stuff, right? Google yourself. If you want to know where you're at on the internet, get on Google and look up your name with real estate agent and see where you're popping up. Because you may be surprised that you're showing up in places that you didn't even realize you were showing up. And that's a great way to figure out what the public is going to see when they're searching for you is you search for you. It's not arrogant. It's not conceited. You just need to figure out, like, what is the rest of the world seeing that has my name on it? And is everything in alignment with this new journey that I'm on, with this new branding that I'm rolling out? Maybe you decide that it's a great opportunity to switch branding. Well, you want to make sure that's all, up to date and consistent. So the devil's in the details. Just make sure that you've thought about what you're going to do, have the respectful conversation. Like AJ said, our reputation in this industry is probably one of the biggest things that we have. And I think not enough people remember that the way it's a small industry in the overall scheme of things, especially localized. And so treat people in such a way that they would be glad to do business with you again in the future if that ever needed to happen. And then plug in, right? Take advantage, whatever reasons. And it might not be a bad idea before you switch to write down all the things about the new brokerage that you were excited about and the problems that you thought it was going to solve for you, so that when things inevitably happen, when you switch to any brokerage, there will be hiccups. There will be bumps in the road. Everything will not go smoothly. Any single brokerage you join, it's not going to go 100% smooth, and you need to be prepared for that. If you expect it to go smoothly and it doesn't, again, you're going to be caught off guard. Plan for it to not go 100% smooth, and have a list of the reasons that you were excited in the first place that you can refer back to, so that when you hit those struggles and you hit those bumps and you're starting to get buyer's remorse and going like, why did I do this? I knew this wasn't going to work out. Look back at the list of what were the reasons you went there in the first place. What were the problems you had at the last brokerage that this brokerage was solving for you? And then give yourself a little reflection and go, I see the bigger picture now. And then it can keep you from getting lost in the small little details of one thing that didn't happen to go right. So
it's a great opportunity to clean up, set up, level up. I just love anytime you make a change, anytime you want to level up, like, this is the system. One, clean everything up, set it up for success, level it up once you do that. And I'm gonna give you an extra little tip here. This is a fantastic time to share your excitement of the new company with your current clients, with your past clients, with your sphere of influence. It's a great opportunity to call and be like, hey, just want to let you know I just made a switch. So if you see something different, or if you get a new email, right? If you've got a new email signature, keep an eye out for it. But I'm just really excited to share this opportunity with people. It's a great opportunity to start reconnecting, right? And let people know. Don't let people get surprised. People don't like surprises. They like it when you communicate, speak with truth, be vulnerable, let the world know, because your excitement is the greatest factor that you have starting off as a new agent or even going to a new brokerage, because people feel that excitement and that energy. And I'm excited for you. I wish you the best of luck on your new journey. I wish you the best of luck getting all those things knocked out. Have an awesome day, and let us know if we can help with anything.
See you on the next one, guys.